So here is why. This is 2 days later, in I think the third ride with the jump saddle. And if you guys again don't know, this is why he was my tip Mustang from last year. He had a couple of issues with a tooth that has delayed the under saddle process. So we are at this point right now. This is again, I think, the third day of the jump saddle. And just working on him standing quietly. And I want to make sure all of this is really nice and positive. So I'm going to give him a positive reward for standing. And sometimes, which you guys might not always see, but it's what I can feel, he can get kind of tense and tight. Kind of I can feel it when he holds his breath or if his head's up a little high. So I try to make sure in all of the instances I can get him to relax and to take a deep breath. And so now I'm going to go through kind of my walk exercises, getting him to relax, also making sure that I'm able to touch his neck, touch his bum, and do all those things. Working on stopping. And here I'm working on doing a little bit of a smaller circle, and now I'm going to start isolating a little bit the front end. Now a lot of this, he has a lot of education from the groundwork, and so it's just a matter of me linking it together. So I'm opening that right rein to kind of show him where to go, and then you half halt with the left rein while adding your leg. So now I'm changing direction. Again, I'm opening the left rein, half halting on the right rein a little bit, and then adding my leg. So it's telling him to move his shoulders around. And I have broken this down in steps before. This is not the first time that I'm asking him to do this. So generally, when I first ask for this movement, you literally ask for one step and then you reward and you build upon that foundation. So he gave me some really nice steps in there. Now working a little bit more in the walk, I'm going to engage him a little bit here. And he's actually responding really nicely, so I reward him. I'm just asking him for the up transition, closing my leg, using a voice cue, and he does a really nice transition. And anytime I like riding the green ones, I like to have a little bit wider hand, nice and soft, just so it's kind of like you're riding a bike. It's the feeling. It really helps them understand to stay in between your leg and hand, and it helps you with straightness. So I'm really working on his inside rib cage, making sure he's nice and soft. And he's doing really nicely framing up. And again, I have a pretty soft feel. And he gave me a nice change in direction. And just making sure I've got the balance. And he feels pretty good today. And again, he likes to always position that right shoulder a little bit. So that's what you see I'm trying to work on. Now we change in direction. And a down transition. It's getting pretty good with those now. Again, working on upping the energy and bringing the energy back down, and then making sure I can move all around, because again, I want to make sure I don't sit perfect, because then they expect you to be perfect. And making some sounds. And then I'm going to give them a positive reward for that. Now I'm back up into the trot. And I'm going to ask him for the canter. That was actually a really nice, smooth transition. He tends to have a little bit harder time with the left lead than the right lead. So again, just working on the suppleness of the inside rib cage and also going forward. And then the down transition to the trot. I was really happy with how he was feeling today. And then down to the halt. Gave me a really nice halt there. Now asking for the back, which again, I have already started the steps of training him for the back. So I was able to ask for more than just one step. So right there, you can see he's really dropping that right shoulder. I'm having to correct him a little bit. So I'm just holding with the inside rein, opening the outside rein to help position him because he just wanted to fall all the way in. And I know I can't ask for the canter until I get that correct. So there I was able to get the canter, and we didn't run or anything. He was able to pick it up correctly. And it's just in that one little spot he likes to do that. So now I'm going to change directions and do a transition. And another up to the trot. And ask for the canter again. So I was able to kind of increase the transition work, changing our feet, because now he has an understanding of it. It's kind of like I'm building the sentences. So I've taught him some ABCs and we're starting to learn words and sentences. So ended up, was really pleased with that. Let him find a stopping spot. Again, hopping off on the right side. And the left. That was actually a pretty good session. It was about 15 minutes in there. And so when I hopped back on, I was like, well, let me see how he is in the big field. So thought I would play around with some of the ground poles that I have. And these little jumps that I have out here, they're really inviting. And I think the smaller one's like not even 18 inches, while the little bit bigger one's around 2 foot, maybe 2-3, not even. So just working on a little bit of body positioning, because being in a bigger field, your horse can often change from being in a smaller enclosure. As he's a little bit more forward, which is kind of nice, but I want to make sure I have all of the things I had in the smaller area. So my steering, my brakes, being able to correct his bend and keep him straight. And I'm just going to work going through some of these trot poles, which he seemed to like. And the biggest thing too with bringing along the young horses is while keeping it repetitious and kind of the same so they can start to understand things, you also have to engage them in new exercises so you can kind of keep them thinking and enjoying. So we came to the little pile and he stayed very straight and pretty nonchalant about it. And now working a little bit on my canter. He just felt really good, so I figured I can give the canter a whirl. Got to a pretty awkward spot there, but that's okay. When I'm working on teaching my young horses, I always start off in the trot first anytime I come to something new, because it's very important for them to be able to process and to understand, and then you add speed later. So there I was able to kind of do the two together. Now working on our turn. Then I thought, well, he feels pretty good. Let's go to the little bigger one. And he jumped that great. And I thought that was super, and so I asked for the stop. It was really fun. Really enjoyed it. I think he did too. He does tend to enjoy jumping, as he had some extensive work in hand from our tip challenge. And now we're hacking back to the barn. You can see we had a big fire pile going on, so he handled all that really well today. And then this is him getting his little wash down after. We've been working on, he's always been pretty good about getting washed down. Sometimes he can get a little nervous about the hose. So I like to let them kind of drink out of it. And then working on this, washing his face. He's pretty good about that too. And then because he let me wash his face, I give him a positive reward for that. And while he has been relatively pretty good about stuff, we have had to work through some fear issues. So I know, like, after he had his tooth surgery, he started to be kind of pretty insecure about being led, and you couldn't catch him in his field, because I know kind of all that stuff when he had his tooth surgery done, let alone with the infection that he had. But he had the really sticky tape that had to be on his face, and horses have those very sensitive facial nerves. So I know that affected how he felt. And so being able to be in work and having that all healed, I think has really helped him kind of relax. And he really does enjoy getting his cookies now. And so he's really starting to seem like he's thriving, and it's been really fun to be part of his process.